I'd always been a very strong woman, and I said, I don't understand why I'm not dealing with this. I'm a very strong woman. I've dealt with things my whole life. And she said, have you ever heard the expression, the straw that broke the camel's back? She said, this was your straw. Well, I found out a week before I turned 50. How's that for a birthday present? Had a mammogram. They found a little tiny speck, called me to come back in, and actually showed me the pictures. And to this day, I don't know how they saw it. It was minute. I'm not a real fearful person by nature, but when they tell you you have cancer, it's a whole nother thing. I was not the best patient. I pretty much fell apart. And anybody that tried to tell me anything positive in those days, with the exception of the doctors, you know, I would just kind of say, easy for you to say, it's not happening to you. I have a cousin that's a nurse, that's been a nurse for years, and she happened to call me on one of my bad days before I had actually made the decision to have any surgery. And as I was lamenting over my plight with my cousin, the nurse, I was talking very rationally. And she at one point said, well, you have to have a mastectomy or you're gonna die. And I said, yeah, but it's still my choice. Because I wasn't sure I could sign a piece of paper, you know, giving them permission to remove body parts at that stage of life. But I was so distraught and talking such nonsense. I said, you know, I never wanted to kill myself. I just didn't want to live through it. I didn't want to go through the experience. I didn't want any part of it. And so she said to me, honey, you really need to talk to someone professional. And if anybody of my friends had said something like that to me, I would have probably said, well, I'm not crazy. I have breast cancer. I'm not nuts. But because she did and she was in the medical field, I thought, okay. And so I was very blessed. I found a psychologist to talk to who assured me that, in fact, everything I was going through was perfectly normal. I told my psych one time, I said, I am obsessed with nipples these days, and the damn things are everywhere. Because, you know, being a woman, I'm not really checking them out, but when you don't have any of your own, all of a sudden you notice everyone's. So I had that surgery, and that was great because I was very proud of them, and they're very pronounced with the bandages and all. And I went home, put on a white sweater, and went right to the mall. Had lights on, and that was okay. And I called my sister. I said, Susie, I look normal. I look real again. You can't tell anything just glancing. I said, if I didn't have on a bra and I bent over and somebody looked down my shirt, they would never know it looks that real. So then I was delighted. And she later told me she hung up and boo-hooed because she said it was the first time she had heard me sound happy about it. So, you know, it took me, I don't know, 4 or 5 operations, how many it was, but I got to the point where I could appreciate the new body. And I told my mother, when I'm 80 years old and my knees are saggy, my boobs will still be perky. They always will be. Now I can look back and can honestly tell you I had a good cancer experience. Now, if anybody had told me anywhere near the time of my diagnosis that I would ever say that, I would have called them a liar. And I would have been convinced that they were. But my best thing I would say to anybody facing this is, it's going to get better. And the light at the end of the tunnel really is not a train. It really is a light, and you do get through it. But it's a heck of a journey. It's the next chapter of my life now.